Hi, I'm Laura Feinstein, Kickstarter Senior Outreach Lead in Design and Technology. In this lesson, we're diving into setting your campaign funding goal and exploring the financial aspects of your project. We'll talk through commonly overlooked expenses and help you set a realistic campaign goal to bring your project to life. Kickstarter uses an all-or-nothing funding model. That means you need to meet your funding goal during your campaign period in order to get the money pledged by backers. We think this is important for a couple of reasons. First, it helps you to be successful because it brings a sense of urgency to your campaign. It acts as an incentive for your backers to push you over the line when you're close and to celebrate crossing that number together. It's exciting. Second, all or nothing is the way most projects work in the real world. In order to deliver the thing you're promising, you'll need a certain budget. And if you're even a little bit short, you might struggle to deliver that project. It's a system that reduces risk for both you and your backers. So let's talk about what goes into that all-important funding goal and what you should think about when you're setting it. The best place to start is mapping out how much money you'll need, the minimum budget required to bring your project to life. This amount includes reward production, manufacturing, materials, labor costs, including your own, additional expenses like shipping, taxes, packaging costs, platform fees, and payment processor fees. All of that should go into your budget as well. Kickstarter's platform fee is 5%, and our payment processing fee is between 3% and 5%. Those only get charged if you successfully hit your goal. For example, if you're making a film, your budget could include the cost of the crew, the location, the lighting. For an album, it could be the studio fees or session musicians. And if you're offering special memento rewards, things like t-shirts, stickers, or tote bags, you'll need to factor in how much money it'll take to produce those things as well. Whatever it is you're making, you'll need to research the cost of those things to get a sense of how much you actually need before you set your goal. For example, for creators raising funds to create a product, a factor that's often overlooked is minimum order quantities, also known as MOQs. This number is decided by the manufacturer and will impact your funding goal directly. Not meeting the MOQ could jeopardize your project. For example, if the factory you're going to be working with has a minimum order quantity of 300 units for your product, and your award price is $50, you'd need at least $15,000 to cover that cost. So the money you need to deliver what you're promising backers is the most important element of setting your funding goal. You don't want to get yourself in hot water by setting the goal too low and not having what you need to produce rewards. You might have other sources of funding that go into this project too. So think about what portion of the total project costs you want to cover with this campaign. Now that you know what money you need, you can start to look at what's achievable and let that guide your goal. How much money do you think you can raise given the size of your following and the time and effort you put into promotion? What feels aspirational, a number that can encourage backers to help you reach a little farther? You can be ambitious as long as you're also realistic about your goal. Remember, that money is not going to come from nowhere. Most backers will be people you know or at least have planned to reach in tangible, targeted ways. It's rare to have an unexpected viral success. A good way to think about this is taking the amount of money you need and dividing it by the pledge amount of your main reward. That's how many backers you'll realistically require to hit your goal. Do you have enough of a following yet to be ambitious? It could also be that you realize you're just not ready and need to spend more time building an engaged following before you can hit the goal you've set. And that's okay too. It's best to launch when you're ready. You want to be realistic and not fall into the trap of setting your funding goal too high. Think about what you actually need to raise versus what you want to raise. It could end up demotivating your backers if you don't seem to have enough traction in the early days to show you can meet those goals. If the goals seem too high for the number of backers you think you can get, go back to the drawing board and see if there are ways to lower it by reducing the budget. For example, breaking the project into smaller chunks and funding just one part of it with this campaign. On the flip side, you shouldn't set your funding goal too low. It's great when you can shout out about being 100% funded, but don't let that tempt you into setting a goal that's artificially low. Funding your project quickly doesn't necessarily mean it will fund higher in the long run, and setting a goal too low can look suspicious or lacking in transparency. Make sure your goal covers your costs and feels authentic to you and your backers. You'll need to strike a balance between what you need to raise, what's aspirational, and what is achievable based on your following to arrive at a funding goal that makes the most sense for your project. You may have heard the term stretch goals and wondered what they are and how they work. Stretch goals aren't actually an official Kickstarter feature. They were invented by our community of creators as a way to keep things exciting for backers. You can use your project updates, campaign page, and any offsite promotion to announce new stretch goals. Be sure to let backers know how you'll make the project even better if you can raise just a little bit more money. Stretch goals can help motivate your existing backers to share the project with their friends, keep a sense of urgency, even after you've hit your funding goal. For example, if your project is a game, a stretch goal might mean you add a premium case or new characters to the gameplay. If your project is a physical product, it could mean offering it a new color. Kickstarter Green is very popular. One tip, the best and most mobilizing stretch goals are often ones that reward every backer rather than require a new reward entirely. This helps your whole community feel engaged as your campaign builds momentum. Stretch goals can be fun and useful incentives, but you don't have to offer them. If you do, make sure you're not overextending your resources and that you'll be able to deliver what you promise. After all, a new color choice might cost you more money or take more time, so make a plan for it. If you do offer stretch goals, plan them in advance. They should be things you're already thinking about doing. Make sure you know how much they'll cost and what added complexity it'll mean for your production and fulfillment. Now that we've been through the elements of setting your funding goal, here's a short step-by-step summary. First, understand the financial needs specific to your project, including production, shipping, taxes, and platform fees. 2, set a realistic funding goal to avoid complications later on. 3, is the goal achievable? Most backers and people you've made a specific plan to reach. If the goal feels too high, break the project down into smaller chunks to fund or wait and build up your following. And 4, use stretch goals strategically to boost engagement, but prioritize authenticity and feasibility. I know we went over a lot in this section, so it's totally okay to revisit and rewatch any information that you don't feel 100% about. We'll see you in the next lesson.